Hey guys, this is Airsoft in CT. Welcome back to another video. Sorry it's been a while, but I'm super excited today because I'm going to show you my Vietnam War collection. Now, something I wanted to note before we get started, I think of myself as a more practical collector. I use this stuff for reenactment, for broken arrow events, for basically that airsoft milsim. So you're not going to see a lot of every single pattern of everything here. You're going to see things that are useful to me, whether that be out in the field or for my impressions. Now, I would say a good place to start is with the small stuff, all of the web gear, all the stuff that people typically like to see. So first we have my web set right here. This is typically what I use for broken arrow events. I've got a couple of the canteen covers. These ones are the cotton trim ones, so better for the 67 date that we're going for in this upcoming event, Junction City 2. We've got a couple of second pattern universal magazine pouches. In addition to that, we have two of the cotton trim compass pouches, as well as a vertical weave belts, all M56 as well, and my long suspenders. As we work our way this way, we have my M56 butt pack. This is actually an M61 pattern because it does have a rubber lining on the inside. We have two more second pattern M56 universal ammo pouches, a JFAC, and then we get to my canteen covers. I love canteen covers. I've got two M67 ones. I've got two of the second pattern nylon trim ones. This one's cool because it's got a DPDO excess stamp on it. I've got two more canteen covers. This is another nylon trim. This is a cotton trim first pattern one. It's in pretty good condition with aside from some of the bluing on the buttons. And then we've got that one over there. This is one of my favorite canteen covers for a couple of reasons, mainly because it's got that sharp green to it. It is in good condition, but it also has a brown kind of nylon trim to it. So it is a second pattern, but I like that because it just contrasts really well. You see some of that with some of the M67 gear, some of the Rucksacks and all that. So I just appreciate the variation in color there. As we continue upwards, we've got my stable rig. This is a second pattern from Chris Brown or Paratroop 1968. This is for my M56 kit. It is disassembled right now because I want to save all of that for a future video, but really like this thing. It was extremely well built, so super excited to have that. I have two bandoliers. The top one is 73 dated, the bottom one is 75 dated. As we move upwards, we have two different M56 belts. We have a horizontal weave and then a vertical weave. The top one is a large, the bottom one is a medium. We've got my East Asia Supply Company hot wet survival kit pouches. I have those for the M56 kit. Those I literally just took out of the bag today. So those will be definitely weathered a lot before I do anything with them. Continuing down, we have the riot control gas mask pouch. We have East Asia Supply Company straps for the Stabo rig. I'm not going to be using those. I'll actually probably sell them relatively soon because I'm working on customizing ones, but you'll see that with the SOG stuff coming up soon. As we continue upwards, we have another M56 compass bandage pouch. We have the SDU 5E pouch. I believe this one is from the 70s, if not 80s, but it is the same design that they used in Vietnam. I've got two cravats up there. Those are fantastic pieces for SOG. They use them as belts, handkerchiefs, whatever. For my bay events and all that, I use them just to get sweat off of me. And then we continue over. We have an M56 shovel pouch, another M56 suspender set. I believe that is a medium. And then we move down to the rifles. The top rifle is one of my most recent pickups. This is a GMP M16A1. I absolutely love this thing. It's an older gun. Doesn't rip right out of the box, but it works well and it looks the part. It's pretty darn accurate, with a couple exceptions being the triangle front sight up there has the seams on it, and then the safe semi-auto markings on this side. But overall, I absolutely love this thing. I did fit my real handguards to it, and then I have a triangle flash hider, the 3-prong one, coming in, and that'll be for the 67 event coming up in August. And then this one is my Car 15. This is a SEMA-based Car 15. I do have some real handguards on there. They're not period, they're modern reproductions. And then I have my jungle sling attached to that. I do want to mention what I have a lot of my gear laying on. This is a 53 dated poncho. I've got my 66 dated shelter half, and then I've got a 71 dated shelter half back there. I believe it's 71. Let's take a quick stroll all the way back here. These are a lot more the sustainment things. I have a garbage ton of magazines, I believe about 20 here. It's a little over 20, but I have that many, not only because they're kind of annoying to find and rarely in stock, but for my M56 impression, the guys used a lot of magazines, so I wanted to kind of keep up with that. I have two helmets here. And I will note that this is not necessarily everything. I do have some stuff coming in that I'll also mention, but I've got my airborne liner right here. Pretty decent condition. It doesn't fit in this shell though, which is frustrating, but this is the shell that I do use. And I have another airborne liner coming in that will fit that one hopefully perfectly. But it's got the appropriate dated cover on it, dated everything, with the exception of the band on the outside. That is an 80s one. I just took the cat eye bands off. Hopefully I'll be able to find an original one of those soon. As we keep moving downward, we've got two M18s. I've got a red and I've got a yellow. I've got my M61 baseball grenades. I've got my K-Bar 1207. I love this knife. This was a PX purchase style knife from K-Bar in the 60s, really cool. Got my US Navy Mark II. If you follow my Instagram page, you know I use that for my SOG impression. Well, I will be using it for my 1-to-1 kit. And we'll move upwards. I've got my OG 106 cap. That is in beautiful condition. It is a size 7, and I'm about a size 7.5, so it's very tight, but it works, does the job. I've got my two overseas made SOG style boonies. And then as we move upwards, I have a standard grain t-shirt. That's just a placeholder for some of the ones that I'm going to be working on to replicate them as best as I can. And we've got a Rothko Jungle shirt, but this isn't any old Rothko Jungle shirt. This one has the pockets on the sleeves. This will be for my SOG impression. However, it is not nearly complete. I have a lot of work to do with the dyeing it and then painting it and hopefully some more customizations, but that'll be for my SOG impression coming up soon. Down to some more personal items. I have my belts that'll go in my trousers. I have a few different knives. I have an 80s dated Camillus knife, and then I've got just a reproduction one of that below, and then a very small little case knife. I've got two P38s, my church key. I got a pencil sharpener. I don't have my pencil here right now. I have a couple watch type items. I have one is a reproduction, pretty bad reproduction at that. I have a nicer one coming in. But I also have my Waltham Company compass. Now this I picked up after I found out that it was used by McAfee SOG. So this is a really cool piece that I have that'll be going on for my SOG impression. Moving down, we have my eye protection. These are just some of the Amazon kind of work goggles, the tightest ones. They work well, no real issues with those. I have my set of custom dog tags that I made. I have a razor set and some toilet paper. I've got a whole bunch of the POH toothbrushes. They're pretty darn close to the ones used back then, so I do have a few of those. And then I've got my laundry bag, my toiletry roll from Joe Sabia. I absolutely love this thing. If you guys do not have one and you do any kind of nom stuff, 100% pick one up. They're fantastic. I use it all the time, not even just for the Vietnam stuff. Then I have a few sets of towels up there. Those towels are mainly used just to keep me dry. I have a few that I cycle throughout events. I kind of have a thing for rifle bore cleaner, so I have a bunch of those. I actually just gave one away today to a friend. So I have a bunch of these. I give these away during events, but I keep a couple for myself because they're just pretty cool, cheap pieces to have. I've got my boot brush. I've got some 60s dated foot powder for athlete's foot. It's not the GI style, but something kind of sent from home, kind of cool. And then I have a 60s dated coffee can that I'm just gonna keep some cookies in, extra snacks. I've got all my letters from the last event letters. What else do I have in here? I've got some postcards, all that. I've got a little Mickey button. I've got my Kodak Instamatic. I believe this thing works, but we're not 100% sure. And then I've got my Mitchell pattern bedroll straps. These I just keep as kind of a utility thing. Continuing up, I have a whole bunch of these muslin bandages. This one is 71 dated. These are just modern ones, but I use those because I want to keep myself dry and keep the moisture off with something very lightweight. So I had just bought a bunch of those because they're getting more expensive. I have my World War II leggings, my gaiters. I use those for the SOG impression as well, but those are not nearly complete as well. They need some work to them, some painting to look correct. I have my 67 dated Playboy magazines. I keep them because they're really cool with the bunk setup, so I've got a couple of those. And then we move down to my boots. I have 3 different pairs of boots. I've got a post-war 80s one, I've got an 80s reproduction one, and then I've got a 70s dated one. So this one right here is my 10 wide. These are my era correct. These are 70 dated. And these are fantastic boots. They're the Panama soles. I've got back here, these are my size 9, a little bit tight. I'll actually probably be getting rid of those soon and trying to replace them, but those are my 80s dated Row Search ones. And then I've got these. I love these things because they're perfect for the 67 impressions that we're doing this year. These are my Vibram Sole jungle boots. They're made in Korea. and they hold up extremely well. They are reproduced in the 80s, I believe, and I haven't had an issue with them, and I've used them at a couple different things. I do have a pile of green socks. There's a couple different variants in there, a couple different brands, but I've got those. And then I've got 4 different jungle pants. So I have 3 originals, 1 reproduction. The ones on top are my Roth coat that I dyed, and if I do say so myself, they are darn close to the original, if not PX worthy. But then I've got 3 of the ripstop ones. Those are all dated 67 to 69. And again, I don't have a lot of the variants. They're all the 3rd pattern ones, but I use them for the reenacting and for Broken Arrow events. And then as we move our way over, I have 5 different shirts. I have my OG 107 sateen shirt right here, kind of just as like a last resort backup. And then I have 4 originals. Those are all dated from 67 to 69 as well. And then I have this really minty one up front. I really like this. This is a medium long. I picked this one up for like 40 bucks, so I'm proud of that. But these are all different ones I use. They're all in various stages of decay and beat upness. But again, I use them without worrying about it too much, with the exception of the medium long. I think I'm gonna keep that as pristine as I can. As we make our way to the last shelter half, I have a lot of the kind of carrying things and some of the more stuff that goes in the ruck. Here I have an extra of the riot gas mask bags. I have a bag of kind of period looking paracord just to have. I've got some C-Wrap boxes. These ones unfortunately did not last the heat last event, but I've got them and I'll probably reconstruct them or try to reproduce them based off of these. I've got my Arvin rucksack straps. I've got my, this is actually a really cool piece. This is from 73, but it's a static line for paratroopers. So even though it's not dated as I would need, it is kind of a cool piece to have for the paratrooper kit. I've got my USA light. This is a really interesting piece because they took out the middle portion. It does work just fine, and it's got kind of an interesting end cap to it, but they took out the middle portion, so I can't attach any filters to it. But again, I need it for on base. I'm not worried about red light discipline there, but that's a cool piece that I've got that does work. I've got 3 of the carabiners. One of them is 70s dated. The other ones are 72 dated. I've got my 67 mess tin. I've got a couple of B units, and I actually have like 5 more of these on the way, so I'm hopefully gonna get those in soon, along with a spoon and a couple other accessories. As we move downwards, I have some tape. I have the 100-mile-an-hour tape, and then I just have some period-looking OD green tape. I typically only bring the 100-mile-an-hour tape with me to events, but if I need to tape anything up, do a quick repair, I have the darker OD green for that. Hydration is also super important. I've got 8 canteens here that I use at events. I have 6 on me and then 2 extras. I've got my period. This is a 63 dated canteen. And then I've got my 68 dated 2-quart canteen. This one's really cool. I've got my canteen cup. I've got a 66 dated poncho. That one is also in impeccable condition. I use that at events. I've got my reproduction. It was actually reproduced by some other country immediately after the war and used by them, but it is a great piece. It is an M51 shovel, so it does have a pickaxe side to it as well. But I figured that could be some use, so I have that, and I keep my World War II one with all my other World War II stuff. I don't want to bring that to events anymore. I've got 2 sets of post-war Claymore bags. Now these Claymore bags do have the donut holes. I actually, coming in today, I have some of the flat brass buckles that are painted black. I'll be replacing them with these. I know that these were seen very late war, as far as at least as I'm aware, but I want to replace them to make them better for the early war impressions or kind of mid-war that I typically do. Down here we have my tent poles, we have my tent stakes, we have my M17 gas mask bag. This is not the M17A1, not any of that. It's just a standard M17. It's got some strange writing on it. And now we get to 2 of my favorite pieces, my tropical rucksack. I picked this one up a long time ago, actually, like kind of first when I got into it, for about $250, if I recall. And this piece is awesome. It is a 68 dated one, but it has lasted an event. It is in great shape. But yeah, that's a really cool piece that I have. And then I have my P68 lightweight ruck. So this one, I don't recall the date on it. You could probably check. This one is a 71 dated P68 pattern ruck. I also have a 66 dated rucksack shelf on there just to keep a lot of the pressure off of the straps that carry my bedroll. But this is also a piece in great condition. Only thing it didn't come with are the shoulder straps. So I got those from Chris Brown, Paratroop 1968 as well. But this is a fantastic piece. I'm so happy to have this in my collection. Hopefully I'll be able to find another one soon, or maybe get some reproduction stuff I could beat up. But that's what I use for the events so far. As we make our way away from the shelter halves, we have some of my big stuff. So over here, I've got 3 different Poncho Liners. I paid $50 for this one. This is a 71 dated one in absolute mint condition. It is beautiful. I've got my 68 dated one. It's got some things that need to be repaired, but this is I got for 40 bucks, also in great condition. Just definitely one I'd be more comfortable using. And then we have probably one of the worst condition ones that I've ever seen that doesn't have a single tear in it. You could see all the tears on the inside, but this one doesn't even have a date tag on it, but it is another ERDL Poncho Liner that I'm definitely comfortable using for events. Now this is all resting on a 67 dated field table that was initially made for the 247th Medical Battalion, but the field table will go for my bunk setup. It's a great cool piece, just to add some of that authenticity. I have my stool that went with a field desk. This one is 69 dated. I've got my ammo can. This is for the bandoliers. You can see it's got the markings for the M1 Garand pieces on there, but they did use these style ammo cans in Vietnam. I've got my Mermite. This thing is in beautiful condition. Look at those stickers. Now, before you say anything, the 3 stickers are probably most likely 70s, 80s dated. I know this one is 79 dated. Back in Vietnam, they only had 2 stickers on them, but they're in such great shape, I can't bring myself to take them off. So for right now, that is just something that has to be kind of lived with, but it's in great condition. The rubber gasket on this thing, like, I know it looks kind of beat up on the outside, but it is in impeccable shape. Like no wear on it whatsoever. So super excited to use that at Junction City too. Then I've got my M60 ammo can. It says 4MG M60 on top. Like that thing a lot. That'll be housing some of my just Airsoft style items at the event, just to keep them out of the way and good for pictures. I've got my foot locker here. I got this for a good deal. I got this for 30 bucks. It does have the internal piece right there. I'm probably gonna reinforce the edges because some of the brackets have fallen off and worn away, but this is a great piece as well. And last but not least, we have some of my comfort items. Well, really, I do have a cot here, and then I have some cot poles. This is an 80s dated one, but it will be covered with one of the Poncho Liners, so you won't be able to tell, even though they did have these late Vietnam. I do have my mosquito net, and then I have the rubber bitch here, the giant sleeping pad that typically fell apart. This one is dated. I can't recall. Here we go. It is 1960. Looks like 1961 on there. But God knows, I'm not going to be using this thing, but I got it for like $5, so I'm going to keep that in the collection. And then last but not least, my most recent pickup for $20, a vintage launch. So that about covers everything. Again, I keep this collection definitely for utility and for the Broken Arrow events, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Before you go, I wanted to answer a few questions that I had. That I put on my Instagram, so thank you to those who reached out and submitted a question. We'll talk about those real quick. Question comes from one of the Aussie dudes, and he asks, so what events are you going to be going to this year? Well, I'll only be going to the Broken Arrow events Junction City 2 this year. To say next year, I'm not sure what it'll be. Definitely more though, hopefully one of the Mike Force events, but that's what I'll be heading to this August. One of the big guys himself says, why are you so cool? I'm still trying to figure out the answer to that. It's definitely not because of this nerd stuff, though, I can tell you that. Last but not least, I have a question from a friend from Canada who will be coming down to Junction City too. And he asks, what are some good things to bring to Broken Arrow events that aren't on the packing list? So here's a few of the things that I found extremely useful last year that I will be bringing again this year, some in more multiplicity. That's extra canteen. So I brought a lot of water with me last year and I had just enough by the end. I'll actually bring more with me, and I know that's kind of on the packing list, but I can't emphasize that enough. I loved my Claymore bag last year. My Claymore bag housed a bunch of grenades. This year I won't be bringing nearly as many grenades, unless I hear from my Pavan friends that they're bringing a lot, then I'll try to outdo them. Just kidding. But this is an incredible tool to carry water around the base. Because we're doing 1967 this year, the M67 2-quart canteens aren't gonna be as common, if found at all. So something to be able to easily carry a canteen around with you and maybe some extra items is gonna be a great addition to what you've got. A couple other things I really enjoyed having with me were extra uniforms. We got rained on a lot last year, and I was not smart with keeping my things waterproof, which I will be bringing plastic bags, not in the Ziploc ones, kind of that my Playboys are in. But definitely extra uniforms are a great asset. as well as a watch too. I was able to keep track of a lot. If you watched my AAR last year, you know that I was able to kind of keep time during the night, and that was really important to me to be able to organize the events in my head later on. But just to be able to know, hopefully, when I'd be able to get some sleep, the watch was a good idea to have. And last but certainly not least, a thing I'd recommend is Joe Sabia's toiletry roll. Again, I absolutely love this thing. I've taken this all over, anywhere I've traveled, really. I've got some of my modern items in there, but this has been an instrumental piece to organizing all of my toiletry stuff. So I would 100% grab one from him. He's a great guy. Definitely make sure his kit is accurate, so yours will be too if you follow his lead. So definitely get some of the toiletry roll stuff, just to keep yourself organized and clean. That about wraps it up. Thank you guys so much for sticking all the way to the end. If you have, if not, hopefully we'll see you in the next one. But no matter what, thank you guys for tuning in. This is Airsoft in CT, and we'll see you in the next video.